Hi everyone, this is just a bit of an addendum to the previous video where I was looking at melting monster clay to create some interesting textures and shapes. Now I'm continuing with that technique and I just wanted to sort of expand on it a little bit. Now I'm continuing with the same basic idea of the sculpture that I did last time, which is this, which was inspired by Turkey of all things. Go back and watch the original video if you don't know what I'm talking about. Just goes to show though that the inspiration can come from the weirdest places. Anyway, I sort of came up with this sort of Lovecraftian demon type sculpture, and I wanted to continue with that idea. Now this is the sculpture I'm working on, and I had mentioned in the previous video that I might try and make a smaller version of the sculpture I came up with, so I'm giving that a go. And so I've come to a point where I need some additional organic details to further flesh this sculpture out. As you can see, he's sort of got his hand cupped just below his midriff, and Mrs. Suggested that he should be holding his entrails, so I thought that's quite a cool idea, so and that's what I'm going for here. So obviously I need some entrails, so I started thinking, well, how can I actually do that? You know, I got some decent results the previous time, but how can I make something that specifically looks like entrails? So this is what I came up with. In the previous video I was pouring the molten monster clay into this sort of shallow dish which was filled with water, and for those of you who haven't seen the video coming to this for the first time, the water was causing the monster clay to set quite quickly, and that meant that you could get some quite interesting organic shapes. Now, because I was pouring this into quite a shallow dish of water, that was sort of affecting the type of shapes I could get, and I got some really great results with this, but some of the shapes that came out were these sort of thin sort of tendrils of monster clay, and some of them had sort of beaded up a little bit and sort of folded, and it really looked like sort of intestines, some sort of thin spindly detail. And so I thought, well, what if I could start pouring the monster clay into something that was taller? So I had a first attempt with this smaller glass here, and immediately got some really cool results. And so the obvious place to go after that is to try a taller glass and so on. So as you can see here, I've got some really interesting shapes. Now some of these are quite spindly, and I don't intend to use them as is, although they do sort of create some rather interesting shapes which might be useful for something. But for these, what I'm going to do is just use individual parts of these to sort of piece together a shape. And what I've really been doing here is just piecing these together a little bit like a jigsaw. The problem with these sorts of shapes is because they're so sort of random, you often get cavities in between shapes, and if I am going to mould this, that's going to make the mould quite tricky because it's going to go underneath all of those shapes and they're going to come apart, and then pulling cast is going to be a bit of a problem. So what I'm trying to do is fill in the gaps between these shapes, smoothing them out with round tools and silicone tools and things like that. I'll probably also come in with a heated tool as well to try and smooth this out further, as I was doing in the previous version of the sculpture. So yeah, a bit of a work in progress, but slowly building this up. But yeah, as you can see, quite an effective technique, and I really like what I've come up with here. So yeah, just a quick video just to show you what I've been up to on a Saturday morning. But that's it for this one, so thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.